You can tell by the way CNN words this headline that it's downplaying this vicious attack. Take a look. 3 killed in terrorist attack, quotation marks, on French church, local mayor says. It doesn't identify who this mayor is, what city he's from, and they call it a church. Well, it was a much more important church building than that. It was a basilica. It had special status as a church. So let's word this headline correctly. Don't worry, CNN. I'll fix it for you right here. The mayor of Nice mourns loss of 3 killed in French basilica in a terrorist attack. There you go, CNN. And you don't even have to pay me. Let's go on a little bit. At least 3 people have been killed in the French coastal city of Nice during a knife attack that the local mayor described as a terrorist incident. There you have those quotation marks again. The attack took place in a church, the Notre Dame Basilica, on Thursday. The victims include one woman who had her throat slit. Nice's mayor, Christian Estrosi, earlier described the woman as having been decapitated. I bet you she came damn close to being decapitated. Estrosi said the attacker was shot by police, but is still alive and has been taken into custody. I am on the scene with the police who arrested the attacker. Everything points to a terrorist attack, the mayor said. It sounds like it is. The man attacked people with a knife inside this most holy of buildings where they were worshiping. There is more as to why, though, he describes this as a terrorist attack. Let's go on. The attacker kept repeating the words Allahu Akbar, Arabic for God is greater, while being treated by medics, Estrosi said. There is no doubt that the perpetrator of the attack, what his intentions were, he added. You know, so the 3 dots in there, they left out a lot. Don't exactly know what he said, but let's make some suppositions. Allahu Akbar. Not exactly French, isn't it? My supposition is we have an Islamic terrorist, not just any terrorist, Islamic terrorism. Is there any other kind? And I'm willing to bet that he's one of these illegals, one of these boat people that came across the Med. This is a problem that France has brought upon itself to a large extent, though. Well, this is CNN's take. You see how it took them so very long to even mention that the man was yelling Allahu Akbar during this attack? And there's no mention of the man's origin. Like I said, I'm willing to bet he's not native French. Let's take another look at this story from a different news source. The BBC. France attack. 3 stabbed to death in Islamic terrorist attack. Let's read this one a little bit more. This gets a little bit closer to the truth. President Emmanuel Macron denounced. So it's not just the mayor, it's the president of France too. Something CNN doesn't mention. And what I like about this story from the BBC is a much better quote from the mayor of Nice. Let's go down to that quote that I like. Nice Mayor Christian Estrosi spoke of Islamo-fascism and said the suspect had repeated endlessly Allahu Akbar. There you go. You didn't hear from CNN about the mayor of Nice calling the attackers Islamo-fascists. And although it mentions this in the CNN report much later in the article, it gets to the point much quicker here at the BBC. Mr. Estrosi compared the attacks to the recent murder of the teacher Samuel Paty, who was beheaded close to his school outside Paris earlier in this month. Yes, I think this attack is linked. Now, let's go to one last news source. One of my favorites, Breitbart. And let's start off with the headline before I get on with the other news. How can we not talk about it? Record recovery. U.S. GDP grew 33% in the third quarter after the lockdowns were lifted. Yes, this is a great day. Let's get on to the story, though, that I originally came to Breitbart for. It's a little bit farther down. Here it is. Now, I'm not going to click on the story. I'm just going to recap it real quick because I found this story last, but I was going to bring it up last anyway, which is why I went to Breitbart last. It was in the back of my mind that if I saw anything about this story with Breitbart, I would end my own report with Breitbart's reporting. As you can see, here's the quote from the good mayor of Nice. "We are victims of Islamo fascism. Enough is enough." Now, within this story, not only does it link to the earlier attack where the teacher was beheaded, but it talks about the Nice stabbing. It talks about what happened just a little bit later in the French city of Avignon, where police shot it out with another Islamo fascist terrorist, let's call it, who shot it out with police and who died of lead poisoning. And there was even a third attack. A guard was stabbed at the French consulate in Saudi. So French right now are paying a very heavy price for the freedom of speech. Stay in there, France. You're going to have to fight extra hard with Macron as your leader.